Okay, let's see how this is going to work. I've changed places a number of times trying to get to a quiet place. But kind of have a meditation that was kind of inspired this morning by a group of people dancing, the group of people you saw earlier in the video. And, you know, I've talked about how we have a tendency to project the current world into the next, if there is a next, and how we kind of imagine heaven as being just a really super cool place that's kind of like our place here on earth. And I've said that kind of shortchanges heaven or the afterlife, and it really doesn't capture what it quite possibly could be like. I think it would be something far greater. Having said that, now I'm just going to go ahead and do the exact same thing. So here we are at the end of all things. You know, it's the end of the walking, the end of the rain, or at least being stuck in the rain. For a lot of people, the end of the Camino. Not for myself, but for a lot of people. And when you get here, there's such a sense of joy. And there's a little train that goes around. Of course, he's going to go around when I start recording. But there's such a sense of joy. People are happy. People are dancing. There's music all over the place. I had to change a couple of times just because of the music. Change where I'm recording because of the music. But there's just such a sense of joy. And this morning, you know, everybody was out there dancing and singing and things. And it made me think. I got kind of emotional because it made me think of what heaven would be. Now here I am. You know, doing the exact same thing that I said that we shouldn't do, which is to project into the future. But I'm not really doing that, or project our current life into the next. But I'm not really doing that. What I'm really doing is talking about the sense or the feeling that we have at the end where we've accomplished something. And it's something tough. This wasn't easy. And I tell you what, Del Norte was by no means an easy pilgrimage, but people are dancing and singing, and we're all happy, and we're celebrating this achievement. And there's such a sense here of accomplishment and of joy and of happiness and of camaraderie. And it's like, we did it, we're done. And there's dancing and singing. And all the work is over. The slogging through mud, getting rained on, the poor accommodations when you really can't find much, poor food when you can't find much, the hills, climbing up those hills on a hot day or going down the hills on a rainy day. I'm not sure which of the two was worse. But there's no more of the walking or any of that. We've accomplished it. We're done. It's behind us. And I think of that, the next life, whatever that may be, that same sense of getting together with those others, even people you may not have met along the way, and just being happy that we've done this. There's a couple walking along here, and I've seen them along the way, and I don't know if they met and fell in love on the Camino, or whether they were here, they came into the Camino as a couple, and then just enhanced their relationship. But they were kissing and hugging a few moments ago, and it was neat, and they were celebrating their love, just like a lot of people are celebrating their achievement. And like I said, this kind of makes me feel like what the afterlife will be. It's like, well, we will all be together and we'll all be celebrating and we'll all be thinking, it's done. The hard part is done. It reminds me of something that Vonnegut said. He had read at his funeral, and I don't have the poem with me, so I really can't quote it, but he basically said, don't cry for me. My race is run. The day is done. It's over. There's no more challenges. And, you know, and that's kind of what it is for the Camino, but it's also what it is for life. We've done the challenges. The challenges have been met, and we're here. And we're celebrating that. And the thing is, we look back over the past, and it's kind of funny, because we were sitting around at dinner and before dinner with drinks and just talking about what we went through, and it was like, oh, do you remember that day with the mud and the thorn bushes, or going along that cliff and how scary that was, or oh, what about that day it was so hot, or what about when we couldn't find, and you recall all the hard things, and now that you've overcome them, you kind of laugh. And I wonder if that's what it'll be like in life. I know women talk about once they've given life, once they've given birth, even though they're very aware of the pain, the joy of motherhood, or so I'm told by mothers, far outweighs the pain that they went through. And that's great. And that's kind of like what life is, you know? We go through all of this and we get to the end, and we're celebrating the joy of life in the hard times and the good times. And we're seeing people, and it's like, hey, I remember you along the way, and people I've run into where I just had very brief conversations where we're hugging and saying, hey, how's it going, and doing all those great things and celebrating all our mutual achievements. And I kind of hope that that's what the next life is, if there is a next life where we'll all do that. I also kind of hope something that's kind of unconventional is the idea of forgiveness. And at the end, you know, when Christ was on the cross, he said, forgive them, Father, they don't know what they do. And I don't think he was just talking about the people that were crucifying him. But I think that if there is truth in the gospel, there is the truth that God came down and experienced what it was to be human. And in experiencing that, he saw that how limited our vision is, how limited our understanding is. And in that limited understanding, we do what we do. And I think Christ was saying, forgive them. We don't know what they're doing. And I think that went out to everybody. I think Christ on the cross was telling God to forgive everybody, and I kind of hope that's true. I have nothing to support that, but if there is a God and if there is a judgment, I hope that's the case. Now, I know this is a bit of digression from what I'm saying, but yeah, it would be wonderful if we get up there and it's like, oh, you know, you did this and you did this, and this is and we get to see it maybe from God's perspective, and when we realize what we had done from his perspective, we can kind of receive forgiveness for that. I hope that there's forgiveness at the end. But I know that there will be joy. There will be joy when we're all together and celebrating that we've put off this mortal coil. Boy, that's poetic, isn't it? I didn't mean for it to be. When we put off this body and the challenges that we go through, and the hardships, we're all there just celebrating. Again, I'm not saying it's going to be exactly like today. It's not going to be that we may not have bodies, we may not be dancing, but that same spirit, that same feeling, I really think it's going to be a lot like what I've been experiencing over the past day. I don't really want to leave the square because that's what it's like here. I'm watching people come in and hug one another and celebrate. So I'm going to continue watching this. But here at the end of all things, there's joy, there's camaraderie, a lot of love, and a lot of forgiveness. Buen camino.